Greetings petrolheads, welcome back to Automation, the car company tycoon game. Today I'm gonna be looking at the 2016 Athena CL9, which I just revised the CL8 for. The headlights are slightly different now. These vents now have chrome in them and some fog lights, LED fog lights. We have some chrome stripes on the bonnet. We have new taillights. This section is pretty much still the same now. And the rear bumper is mostly still the same as well, only that we now have these, I don't know what you call them, those white stripes that don't have individual LED bulbs in them, rather they're just, I don't know. I don't know what you call them, but yeah. So these are the aesthetics. Obviously, as far as chassis and everything goes, it's still exactly the same because it can change anything. Aluminium monocoque, carbon fiber panels, double wishbone front, multi-link rear. Rear-wheel drive still. And then a different version of the Hercules V12 from what you find in the SL9. It has 675 horsepower, slightly increased redline, 685 pound-feet of torque, and that is mostly due to a little bit of change in here on the turbine and compressor size, and slight modifications here I think as well on cam profile, VVL profile, and compression ratio. And we have a 7-speed double clutch gearbox here, an electric diff. First gear goes up to 100 kilometers an hour because I figured that is probably the best way to go in order to eliminate wheel spin as much as we can. Because you see, when we do it like this with second gear topping out at 100, it's actually slower than when we do it this way. Now it's at 4.3 seconds rather than 4.4. It's also slightly more economical and more sporty, so it is probably the better choice. Obviously that's gonna make it a little bit less everyday usable, because you can't even really wind out first gear without going at illegal speed. Sports tires, 335s in the rear. Six piston carbon ceramics on the front, 1 piston ceramics on the rear. Fully clad under tray. More than enough cooling airflow. Actually a little bit too much still. There we go, 350 kilometers an hour is awesome. We have 4 seats, handmade interior with +5 quality, luxury infotainment, all driver assists, advanced safety, active comfort springs, semi-active dampers, and overall we have 56.5 sportiness, which is fine because it doesn't need that in order to be able to compete with cars like the, I don't know, Aston Martin Vanquish. Can't really compete with the Ferrari F12, but you get the idea, and it does need a good bit of sportiness. Let's see how quickly this thing accelerates though. $80, 290, 300. It gathers speed at a relentless rate, and that's surprisingly difficult to say, but that is just because this engine makes so much torque so early already and through most of the power band. It makes 600 horsepower at what? Let's see that. There's 600. We need to look at the blue needle. From 5,000 RPM onwards, it makes 600 horsepower. Obviously making more than that up until the red line. So whenever you shift, as long as you end up over 5,000 RPM, you're gonna have more than 600 horsepower immediately after the shift. That's why this thing accelerates so quickly. Yeah, and if you actually pay attention to the rev counter while we're doing this, you'll see that even from first to second, it goes to slightly under 5,000, just barely under 5,000, but then it's always in the power band between 5 and 7,000 RPM after every upshift, as long as you're flat out. And that is why, you know, that is why it's so fast, because you always have so much power at your disposal immediately after the shift that the weight isn't even that much of a concern anymore. It's still noticeable, of course. If it weighed 300 kilograms less, it would be faster, but it is still a remarkably quick car. And how does this thing perform on a track? Again, this is not a performance car, but I would still kind of like to see how it would stack up. That's a 142.3, which is interesting. It's pretty much the same as the SL999 that we looked at yesterday. 142.3. That is slower than the BMW M3 and its rivals. And some might say that's a little bit disappointing for a river drive coupe this powerful. Then again, we don't have. Well, we do have a lip up front and one on the rear, but they're really not there for downforce purposes. We don't even have a downforce energy. We don't even have any downforce on the under tray at all. And it makes more cooling effort than it would necessarily need, and the suspension is tuned way more towards drivability than towards sportiness. So overall, and we got the active comfort springs. So overall, you can just tell straight away that this is not meant for setting new lap records. It is meant to just offer a great, comforting driving experience, which I think it would do a great job at with pretty much 60 comfort, and also be ballistically fast in a straight line, which it is, as we've seen. That pretty much sums up what an Athena CL has always been, and the SL kind of as well. That's a trademark of Athena, if you will. It does really well in the hypercar category, probably because of its high top speed and high prestige. Luxury premium, sure. GT premium, yes. Convertible super, yeah, I could see that. Like if you made a convertible out of this, it would surely be well appreciated. I think it would be, people would like it. But I don't think it's that necessary for right now. You can also just imagine this thing without a roof, like stopping about here. The roof would just go off. Yeah, it would look good, and it would be every bit as fast as it is now. Maybe not, because it would gain a little bit of weight, but still very fast. And what else is there to say about this car? Yeah, the fact that you might be wondering, why does this car have a more powerful version of the V12? Why don't you just use the same V12 as in the SL? I did that for the last generation as well, on the 8th generation, and that is simply because this car competes in a different segment from the SL. It needs more power than the SL needs, because with the SL in its 9th generation, it has 640 horsepower, the normal version, and that's more than any S-Class, more than any 7 Series, that's more than any Bentley even, that's more than any Rolls-Royce. Why would it need any more power than 640 horsepower? This, however, competing with the big Astons and I hate to say it, but the Ferrari F12 in some ways, it needs more power. It needs some more grunt. It needs the extra pulling power. And that's exactly why I did what I did. Zero to 200 in 10.9 seconds is very fast indeed. And well, let me know what you think about this car. Hope you enjoyed. Leave a like or a comment if you did. Thanks for watching. I'll see you next time.